Mr. Qaeda, do you believe that your ideas about reconciliation and reintegration, they have been bought by the world leaders, especially the International Security Assistance Force, the NATO, and the US, who are the actual decision makers?
I think yes, more or less. I think, as I said, in one of my first speeches after I came to Afghanistan, and that was in April 2008, I emphasized how important this was and said basically what I'm saying to you now. Basically the same message. At that time, there were not many who were ready to follow. Today, I believe that we're close to a unanimous international community.
So that's the result of your silent diplomacy on the sidelines?
No, I would just say that I think people have come to see it the same way. I'm not saying that I convinced them, but I'm pleased to see that we see it much more the same way today than we did 2 years ago. But then the other part has to respond, you know. At one stage, there has to be also a response from the insurgency that they're ready to enter into such a political process. It's difficult. There are a number of spoilers. But there has to be a concerted effort also by the entire region, including Pakistan, to see to it that we can move in that direction, and that also the insurgency can come in a position where they can respond positively to an invitation for a political process.
So, Qaeda, you talked about spoilers. Who are these spoilers?
Well, it's quite obviously that there are parts of the insurgency that have no interest, no inclination towards a political process. And that's quite obvious. Who are the hardliners, the more Al-Qaeda version of the insurgency. Al-Qaeda and organizations closer to Al-Qaeda.
Who are the regional spoilers of the reconciliation process?
I want to be sure and to be convinced that all the authorities of all the countries in the region, I'm thinking here from Afghanistan's neighbor to the west and around the entire border of Afghanistan, that all of them are participants fully in a reconciliation process, in stimulating in a political process. And we're not there today, I believe, and this is all I want to say in answer to that question.
Afghanistan has become a chessboard where many international players are there, regional players are there. How these regional interests and international interests are to be reconciled on the Afghan chessboard?
I think there have been many attempts now by the international community to get together in Paris, in The Hague, in London, in Kabul later this year, to bring the entire international community around one set of priorities. And I do believe that the regional players here have a tremendous role to play, underestimated to some extent by many. I'm not only here talking about political interests, economic interests that have to be pursued. Afghanistan could certainly play an important role in a wider regional trade arrangement. I think also to have conclusion of the transit trade agreement between Afghanistan and Pakistan would be an important part of that.
Pakistan has also offered to play an increasingly larger role in stabilizing Afghanistan. What kind of role Pakistan can play there?
Well, I think politically certainly. And when I look back at the situation when I arrived in Afghanistan, there is no doubt that there has been a tremendous improvement in relationships between the two political leaderships. And then I must say, in practical terms, I think also it's important to see what I saw towards my last months there, where hundreds of Afghans are being invited to come and have scholarships in Pakistan, etc., practical steps. But then there has to be also total engagement by all institutions on both sides in order to promote the peace process.
You talked about all institutions. Are there some differences between some institutions of Pakistan and the others in Afghanistan?
I think this is up to you to answer, and not me. What I'm saying is that all institutions have to be part of that effort. And I'm emphasizing that. So what I'm saying is that each of
General
these
Kiani has offered training to the Afghan army.
Each of these countries should just make sure that they're making the best effort they possibly can.
General Kiani,
I don't think I will go further than that.
Right. In terms of training the Afghan army, do you think that's a good suggestion from Pakistan? Would that further build a trust between the two institutions, the main institutions on both sides of the border?
all kind of interaction that can be initiated is positive. Now, whether this or that particular initiative is a good initiative is something that the Afghan government would have to answer. But I believe that the wider the scope of interaction and cooperation could be, the better would it be for the entire region.